With PDX-Con happening, and a recently announced DLC that will revamp naval combat, the timing of this review could be a little better. The previous Waking the Tiger revamped command structure, so it is very likely that the game will change significantly soon. Still, I better get this review out quick before it becomes too outdated. If Paradox's DLC policy holds true, I will never be able to wait long enough for all the DLC to come out, at least in my lifetime. From one of the newest series to one of the older ones, Hearts of Iron 4 is the newest release in the Hearts of Iron series, released June 2016, obviously the fourth in the series. Set in World War II, the player is tasked with controlling a country of the time and guiding it through the war. The game is mostly focused on military endeavors, with most of the economic systems greatly abstracted. Music in a military game is very easy to do. Plenty of military music and general action music fit right in. This holds true for Hearts of Iron 4. Nothing over the top and nothing out of place. The only spoken audio is the battle cry the infantry units make when you click on them. Nothing to complain about, but I don't speak any other languages, so for all I know, they have ridiculous accents worthy of ridicule. Sound effects work well. Other than the language-based battle cry, the sound effects are universal for all countries. It is a small shame that certain guns or tanks or planes don't have unique sound effects associated with them. Visuals in Hearts of Iron are on the weaker side. Similar menu system to Stellaris, but static portraits this time. The zoom is not as close as Stellaris, and models have much less detail. The world map is mostly accurate with some exceptions, see the English channel. The mix of topography with terrain textures, sort of tiles, can be confusing and hard to distinguish. I wonder why the models are lower quality. I can't imagine that Hearts of Iron 4 is a larger game in scale than Stellaris and requires lower quality models. Story in Hearts of Iron 4 is even more complicated than it is for Stellaris. World War II is done to death, so any innovation is typically very personal, emotional, small-scale stories. This is impossible for a grand strategy game, so most of the unique story is told via alt history choices. The problem with that is not every country has a decision tree, and roleplay doesn't work so well in this game with such a heavy focus on war over everything else. Conquer your neighbors, conquer the world, and that's about it. DLC brings more trees, and with those, more interesting decisions. Now for the most important part of a grand strategy game, gameplay. I've never played the other three games, so I can't compare them to 4. So, the economic side of the game mostly involves building factories to produce more factories or weapons. Resources can only be gathered if they already exist in your land. A few decisions can add resources to provinces. Recent changes made it so building infrastructure will increase output, otherwise output is increased via tech research and the occasional decision. The military is split between the division designer and the on-map battle planning. Due to the abundance of stats in-game, meta strategies tend to form. You can basically do anything you want in single player, but a single best design tends to win out over all others. The on-map battles tend to encourage micro, otherwise any push tends to be inefficient and cause excessive casualties. Air battles are calculated, but is very simple compared to the land war. There is no air wing designer or anything like that. Naval battles should be more complex than air, but less so than land if the meta wasn't so bad. Battleships and carriers are extremely overpowered compared to anything else. Here's hoping that the upcoming Man the Guns DLC fixes this. I'm slightly better at Hearts of Iron 4 than Stellaris. I'd probably win more often if I didn't like fighting for hopeless causes. Poland versus Germany, Finland versus Russia, Italy. It is generally intuitive how to build and fight in this game, and the AI leaves something to be desired. I'm going to put forward an unpopular opinion. I'm not a fan of mods. I find that most mods come in 2 flavors: fanfiction or something that developers should have put in themselves. I don't mind the occasional bit of fanfiction, though I have a low tolerance. The latter is the one that causes the most problems. Anyone that has played a Bethesda game with its dozens of unofficial patches understands. When it comes to Hearts of Iron 4, DLC doesn't do much more than what a mod can. It becomes a question of, is DLC even worth it? The game is more approachable than other grand strategy games due to its focus on military over other aspects. The AI is very hit and miss, so single player is not a replacement or preparation for multiplayer. The game may be worth full price, but if you're hesitant, then sales are frequent enough to be worth looking into. DLC is a lot iffier. DLC that changes gameplay is much more worth it than DLC that merely adds another decision tree.